We will now look at how to perform a calibration from pixels to centimeters in LoliTrack 5. In a pixel calibration, we define what a given number of pixels in the video images corresponds to in a known distance inside the arena. This calibration procedure is required if you want your data parameter outputs in units other than pixels, for example in centimeters. Start by choosing the units you want your data to be displayed as in the settings panel. In our example, we would choose seconds, degrees, and centimeters. But notice that when we choose centimeters, two new fields appear down here. These are the fields where we enter what our chosen pixel length corresponds to in our actual setup, here in centimeters. And to choose a pixel length, focus on the XY axis on the video preview. Click and drag the origin to where you want to measure from. In our example, we know the length of the test section, so we will place the origin over here. Next, you drag either the X-axis or Y-axis endpoint to where you want to measure to. We will use the X-axis and place the point here. The test section is 28 centimeters long, so we will type 28 in the axis field. And instead of measuring out and typing in the length of the y-axis, LoliTrack can calculate the length for you by clicking the Calculate Values from X-axis button here. You have now performed the pixel calibration. It's important to know that if you change the location of the X or Y-axis endpoints, either on the video preview or if you physically move the camera or arena, then you need to type in the correct distance values again. Another important factor is the location of the origin point. If you're going to use pixel position values of the tracking points, the XY origin point here determines the values of your calibrated pixel position data for the tracked point that you see in the exported data file. To illustrate this, the calibrated XY position is defined during this calibration step, while the raw pixel values always have its origin in the top left corner of the frame. So, once you have measured out the pixel length, you can then click and drag the origin to where you want the origin to be. Keep also in mind that the XY axis should be in a 90-degree angle, as you would otherwise get skewed or incorrect distance data. If you want the timeline in the analysis to start at a certain time of day, enter it here and reset all calibration settings here. The frame rate field up here you should generally leave as it is, since it automatically uses the frame rate recorded in the metadata of the video. But if you know that the video was recorded with a frame rate that's different from the one shown, you can type in the correct frame rate. This button here will read and apply the metadata frame rate again. The distortion correction is a useful feature if you have a video camera system producing images with a skewed perspective, like when using a wide-angle or fisheye lens. You can see a bit of perspective distortion in this demo video. This happens due to the curvature of the camera lens, and if we want to account for this, enable the distortion correction. Now, you cannot control the access point, but if you click and drag on the video preview, you will draw a correction curve with red dots. The task is now to align the correction curve to a distorted line on the video by clicking and dragging the red control points. Usually, adding 2 or 3 correction lines is sufficient to get a good distortion correction. Now click the Autocorrect Distortion button to change these radial distortion coefficients. The video images will now be corrected to produce non-skewed data. Click OK down here to save all calibration settings. And that's it on how to perform the calibration in LoliTrack 5. We will now begin masking our video by continuing to the next tab. But if you have any questions about the calibration procedure in LoliTrack 5 or about other aspects of the software, you're welcome to contact us on our website.